Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Roundtable. I am joined by Theo. How are you tonight, Theo?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. So let's talk about the Canadian Derby. The Fury beat the Eddies 2-0. What are your thoughts on that wonderful victory?
It was a wonderful victory because we clinched a playoff spot. That was the most wonderful thing about it. The game itself was a little bit dull. It felt like a midfield grudge match for most of it. Not many opportunities on goal for either side. And the Fury put away their chances. So Sinisa Ubi-Peripovic is the one who got both goals for Ottawa, and he's been on fire for the past month, racking up the assists especially. He's now amongst the leaders in the league for assists, which is strange because a month ago we had no one on either lead table for goals or assists, and now we have two with Heineman in the goals. So yeah, it's still going well for Ottawa. It was their fourth or fifth win in a row. They've lost one match in 21. I mean, it's starting to get like a habit. Like the players said after the game, it was Richie Ryan, our captain, who said that winning's a habit, and they are in the habit of winning, and they don't want to stop. So they keep repeating the same mantras, the same training, the same intensity to make sure that they don't lose. And they look unstoppable right now. They are going to try to get home field advantage throughout the playoffs is their new goal, because the original goal was to make the playoffs. And if they win out, they will do it. They have a big match against Minnesota in a few weeks. That's going to be the big one. But every match is big because now they've set their sights on having a home playoff game and even having the Soccer Bowl in November in Canada.
Oh, that's gonna. Does it snow there in November?
We've had snow in November, yeah, but it wouldn't be an issue, I don't think, for the Soccer Bowl.
I think that would be a big issue.
It'll be cold. It won't be warm,
yeah,
but it won't be a snowstorm, or maybe, you never know.
So the Fury, they signed a new player. So can you talk about the newest addition to the squad?
Yeah, they signed a player on loan from the Montreal Impact, who is currently with the Canadian under-23 team that's trying to qualify for the Olympics, the semifinals on Saturday. And it's Jérémy Gagnon-Laparé. And he's a young Quebecer who, like I said, he plays for the Impact. He's more than their academy, their USL team. And he's played defensive midfield for most of the season, I'm told. For Canada, he's played out of position at left back. He's looked vulnerable there, but I was corrected by an Impact fan who told me, no, don't worry about that. He's a defensive midfielder. He's playing out of position for Canada. So it's a little bit crowded at defensive midfielder for Ottawa. I guess he adds depth because we've got Richie Ryan, who's the captain. He's not going anywhere. We've got Julian de Guzman, who's Canada's captain, and Mauro Stakio, who is with also the Canadian under-23 team right now. He's a defensive midfielder. So we've got a lot of depth there. They can be versatile a little bit and play that triangle in the middle. So it'll be interesting to see where he fits in, but it's just good to have depth. Depth is never a bad thing.
The Cosmos, they drew 1-1 at home against the Atlanta Silverbacks, which I was expecting a tough match from a Sunday afternoon at Hofstra Short Stadium, but it was a home and away series. So on Wednesday night soccer on One World Sports, and the Cosmos, the boys in green, are back. They finally won, and Cosmos supporters are buzzing about that victory. 3-0, one to surely to be proud of for the team. Because Gaston Salvino got his first goal for the New York Cosmos. Their newest signing on loan, Belmar, who is from the Timbers reserve team, he made his debut. So it was a great match all around for the Cosmos. And now they face the Eddies at home. So it's a bit of a worrying scene because the Eddies beat us at Clark Stadium. So are we going to be that confident team how we were against the Silverbacks, or are we just going to struggle again against the Eddies. So hopefully we see that confident team, which I think we will at home, especially this Sunday. So the Tampa Bay Rowdies face the Fury. This is another tough matchup because, as we all know, the Fury want to host the Soccer Bowl, and the Cosmos want to as well.
Yeah,
But
of course.
what are your thoughts on this Tampa Bay Rowdies Fury matchup?
I don't fear any team right now. It's interesting. It's an interesting position to be in that we see a team on the team sheet now, and we go, oh yeah, we've beat them a couple of times this year, or whatnot. They just need to do the same things they did before, and we got it. But I mean, that's why we watch the matches, right? It's always a crapshoot sometimes. We're going down to Tampa. The Fury have been excellent on the road this year, as you know, and we're going down there, and there's 4 matches left, and they want 12 points. Are they going to get it? At some point, like, you'd think that they'd run out of steam, and they will be rotating the squad a little bit because word out of training is that Richie Ryan, Tommy Heineman, and Paulo Jr. are not going to play in the match. They're going to be rested. And this is natural. They've clinched a playoff spot. They want to freshen up some people and give some younger players the chance to play. I'd be surprised if our keeper Romuald Paiser plays the rest of the way through. I'm sure he wants to break the clean sheet record, which he's tied with right now on 13. But once he does that, I wouldn't be surprised to see our backup keeper Marco De Bellis get some time in net.
Are you worried because you know that the Fury are going to throw out a rotated squad? Because the Cosmos, they did it on the road against the Eddies, and it wasn't a great result. So are you worried about this rotated squad?
No, I'm not, because if you look at it, they've been rotating all year, really. Only in the last little while has Tommy Heineman been the number 1 striker on the team sheet, like for the past month maybe. But before that, you would see other strikers come in, Ali Hassan, Ugur Albayrak. You'd see other players come in and Tommy Heineman be on the bench. So just using that example is just one of many, because the team has rotated quite well. Paulo Jr., I know that he picked up a knock in the last match. I was in the tunnel after the game, and he was walking around with his sock off, and he had a baseball side lump on his foot. He picked that up during the match. He was subbed out. It's nothing serious. It'll heal. But that's one of the reasons that he won't be playing on the weekend, I'm sure. So no worries. It's a natural part of having secured the playoff spot and coming to the end of the season. You want to be fresh for the playoffs. Even if they lose a couple of games here, I won't be terribly disappointed. Except I do want at least one home playoff match. That would be fantastic. I've already bought my ticket. I'm ready to go.
So can we get a score prediction from you for the matchup?
Yeah, I'm going to say that the Fury are going to go in there and they're going to win 2-0. Paiser is going to get that 14th clean sheet, and he can get a couple of games off here on out.
I'm hoping the Rowdies get the 3 points here because
naturally
we want to. Yeah, I'm not trying to be that guy, but
we're neck and neck. Of course, that's what you want. Yeah. I'd want the same thing.
Yeah, so let's go Rowdies for the first time. I may be saying that on the show. So Spencer, let's go Rowdies.
Too bad Spencer's not here.
Yeah, he probably would get upset and say, "Don't support the Rowdies" or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
So let's discuss Empire of Soccer. D. Martinez has wrote an article about the New York Cosmos and their attendance woes, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. He outlined the stats, the attendance at every match, and just list reasons why the attendance is not where it is. Well, they have the great product on the field, and it could be a number of options. It could be that they're not selling beer in your seats, so they can't do it because of the rules at Hofstra. And the dates is number one, is because we get the worst dates is because we're on the
Yeah.
bottom of the list at Hofstra. We get
Yep.
holidays. I know I went to a match on the weekend. I think it was a Sunday match. It was July 5th. So they played right after the 4th of July that weekend. And that's a weekend in the United States where everyone just goes away, has barbecue parties. And that wasn't the best weekend to have a match. They played, or they are going to play on Halloween. They were playing on Christopher Columbus weekend. And a big worry is these holidays. And Eric Stover has said that next year they are going to get less holidays, better dates. And that's very exciting to hear that we may have better attendance going forward. So what are your thoughts, Theo, on this article? You read it. What are your insight about what's going on?
I was a little surprised. I haven't been paying attention that much to the attendance in New York this past season, but that was an eye-opener for sure. I've noticed when the Fury went to play that the stands looked empty, but I mean that can be any stadium in NASL. Sometimes the stadium's bigger or whatever. I haven't really.
But that was the Tuesday night match, right?
There was that one. There was also a match, I think, in April that there was also a small crowd, but it's worrying because this is supposed to be the flagship franchise of the NASL, like he says in the article, and it's not a good sign when that franchise is not drawing in the fans like it did in its first 2 seasons. Now, I can fully understand the fans staying away if the experience in the stadium is not that good. Maybe you could guess what that experience is like, and maybe you could compare it if you have a reference point to other game day experiences, because I know that I tweeted out the picture on Sunday. The first thing I did when I walked into the stadiums, I took a picture because I was upset because the football lines were on the field for the CFL game, and I was like, guys, you told us that this would only happen once, and now it's the second time, and we're being told that maybe it's going to happen again. So, yeah, that's not cool. And I know you guys have the lacrosse lines, and you have the Hofstraw strewn all across, and
the Hofstra in the middle.
Yeah, maybe you can elaborate on how that stadium is to watch a soccer match.
Well, they're benches. That's what they are. They're not actual seats unless you pay, I think it's $90 to upgrade to club seats.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that is just midfield seats, but they have seat backs. Those are the luxury seats. No cover over the stands as well, so if it rains, you guys are doomed. Not great food options as well. Well, there are, but it matters what you get and the prices as well. But that's in any other stadium. And I think you saw on the show that at TD Place, the food is not the best as well.
Yeah. The donuts are awesome. I'll just say that.
There's donuts at the match?
Yeah. There's like these fried donuts, man. They do make them on the spot. It's awesome. But anyways, other than that, it's kind of average.
Donuts too.
Yeah.
Some donuts. Some green donuts at the matches. That'd be great.
Yeah. But like I could understand if it was another franchise. What the Cosmos need to do is to get their own stadium, and they need to get that deal done. I know it's not easy to get a stadium deal done in New York, in any of the boroughs, but man, does that need to get done. And I don't know if you know anything about this, but apparently MLS was getting in the way of the Cosmos getting a stadium. I don't know. That's dirty pool. That's just not cool.
Those corrupt guys, MLS. No, but I think the other reason, or there are two big reasons. One is the crowded market, and me personally, I say that it's great. It's great for the sport. It's great for the city. But 3 teams in one area, I know they're all far away from each other, where they're not fighting for the same fans in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But people look at MLS and say, well, that's D1, that's Major League. And I think the turnoff is minor league, and they're playing in a college stadium.
Right.
But the product on the field is not that drop-off. And that's something that people in this country don't understand, because they watch minor league baseball, and they're like, oh, those are the kids. Those are our future. but that's the Cosmos B.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
watching the Cosmos, the first team, when they play the Silverbacks or they play the Fury, that's our first team. That's our major league team. To
Yeah.
us, that's major league. And that's something that they can't wrap their heads around, which that's sad for them because they're missing out on the best soccer that you could in New York City.
Yeah. I really believe that if you had a nice stadium in a good neighborhood, you would draw 10, 15,000 people. Like, there's no reason not to. Like you said, the product on the field is excellent. You have an international superstar in Raul. You have a guy who has name recognition in the Spanish community with Senna.
Andres Flores, who is an El
Yeah,
Salvadorian captain of the team.
exactly. And like the Salvadorian population in New York is huge. So there's no reason why those people would not come out and support their team. I work with an El Salvadorian, and they're nuts about their team. It's awesome. Like, and they love their players. I don't know why they wouldn't be going to the games, but except for the stadium, I can totally understand that. Like, if you don't have a seat back at your stadium, if you're in one of the cheap seats, it's not that fun. We were at Carleton University last year for the first half, for the spring season, as TD Place was being built, and
How was that?
it wasn't great. I mean, the players, when there was no dressing rooms, they had to come off the field, and they had these little rental pods.
Yeah, like the trailers.
Yeah, the little trailers. Each team had a trailer to go change in. It was ridiculous. But we knew, like, at least we knew, and the fans knew that just wait a couple games and we're going to be in this awesome stadium. So that's happened, and our attendance has gone up, and it keeps going up, keeps growing. So that's the key, I think. It's just that nice stadium. If you feel like you're going to a second-rate facility, you might think you're going to see a second-rate team.
But I think the facility is good for a temporary place for the team. But they're hoping for this one proposal that it gets accepted. But it's been 2 years. It's been very long. And the Cosmos are saying that they're looking for other options, but they have their mind set on this one location, which bothers me the most about this situation.
Is that the Belmont?
Yeah. It's a great location, a great rendering about what potentially might be there.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't happen, if it's just a dream, then it just hurts as a Cosmos supporter to say, well, on the site, this is what may happen there. This may be there one day. They were hoping sometime soon when they release them, but that's really hoping for very long now. But they had said that by the end of the year, they want to have maybe a deal set to build a stadium in the future, maybe in the following years. So that's some positive news if it does happen eventually. Also, the second reason I talked about earlier, or I didn't get to, was marketing. And that's very important here in this crowded market. If you don't market your team correctly, or in Times Square, how NYCFC has, when they bought David Villa, Frank Lampard, Pirlo, they welcomed these players with big billboards in Times Square throughout the 5 boroughs. Everyone knew NYCFC was going to be in New York. Everyone knew it. So I'm not saying the Cosmos have to go and buy a Times Square billboard. No. But just market yourself smartly that everyone else can see you. I know they have billboards or digital billboards in Penn Station, which is a train station here in Manhattan. So that's great. But if people don't see that, then how great is that? So I feel like you have to market to the people that you would want to come to the game. So if you're trying to get the El Salvadorian community to the match, I know they went to El Salvadorian Day or something like that or somewhere in New York, and they were going crazy. They had Andres Flores there, so they just have to reach that target audience. So again, it's gonna be hard, or it already is hard. But they just have to work very hard. But that's what they're doing now. They're working hard to try to get the people into the stadium.
Yeah.
So
You hope that they're going to turn it around soon. A stadium announcement would be gold right now.
Eric Silver has said that if you build it, they will come.
Absolutely, I believe that.
He worked on building Red Bull Arena, and it happened eventually. But with the Cosmos, so many speed bumps, MLS being that bad guy in the picture, which if people really knew about that, then I don't know if anyone would actually support them.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
So as a supporter of the Impact, do you like that news? How, or we don't know how true it is, but if it is, what are your thoughts on MLS hurting our chances, or potentially hurting our chances of getting a stadium?
MLS is acting like it has the big stick, which it does at the moment, and I think the amount of grief they're giving NASL is an indicative of the worry that MLS feels having this other league maneuvering around it to also become a first division, eventually a first division league. And I don't like it. I would much rather see the USSF step in without having its close links with MLS and actually do what its mandate is, which is to support soccer in the US, not one league over another, but
They just
actually
support Major League Soccer.
they
They
do.
don't
Yeah,
support the growth of soccer
no.
in this country. They support Major League Soccer, and that has to change. That can change by just getting rid of these divisions and say, well, all you guys are great leagues.
Yeah.
They can say NASL, MLS are both D1. That would be great for the NASL, surely. Cosmos would probably draw a lot more people because now we're major league by the federation.
Yeah. It's not a good look for MLS, I find, and it reminds me of the stories between the in the 60s and 70s between the NFL and the AFL, and also the NBA and the World Basketball League. Was it
The ABL or
the ABA? The ABA,
ABA.
yeah.
Yeah.
And these leagues sort of like maneuvering and trying to squeeze each other out, and in the end, what happened? They all like had to come together under one umbrella, which I think would
That
be
could be a possibility as well.
that they should be going for that. But with the two extreme separate philosophies of the two leagues, it's it's hard to see where that bridge would be, because one is kind of like, well, the single entity, as we've talked about before, is just that's what they want to do: control all the money, control the cash flow, control everything. And you have these NASL guys who are like, no, we're going to be like the rest of the world, and it's going to be highest bidder and capitalism and whatnot on that sense. So I don't know where it's going. You can talk to me on one day and I'll feel one way, and on another the story's changed already. The other thing to remember is that things in the North American soccer landscape are at lightning speed right now, in the terms of their growth and the way things are changing. If you look back 5 years ago, my goodness, it's a completely different landscape. We've discussed this before, but it's impossible to gauge where we'll be in 5 years and who's going to be left standing, which is the scarier part. You don't want this cutthroat capitalism to cost us our teams. You know, like if MLS totally take over and bury the NASL, well, MLS isn't coming to Ottawa, so we're left without a pro soccer team. Of course, there's other permutations that can happen in the meantime, but that's the kind of bullying that the MLS is doing now, which I'm against. I don't like it at all.
So this is my last question here, and our last discussion. Do you think there is going to be a winner or a loser eventually, or do you think they're going to come together and just meet halfway?
That's quite the question.
Yeah.
I Look, if there's a front runner right now, it's MLS. There's no doubt. They have all the momentum right now. They're signing the big players, and they're also signing players that are big, that are not just retirement cases like Lampard and Pirlo. They're signing the guys like Giovanni Dos Santos and Laurent Simon and all these other players that are in their prime, and they're coming to MLS. And you have the other players in the world kind of looking over and going, I want to go there. I want to play in the U.S. because the U.S. is a great destination. The U.S. is a great place to go play. So when they're looking at both systems, not the systems, when they're looking at the cachet of each league, of course MLS, it pays more, it got more fans, it's got better stadiums, but the agents, I'm sure, are telling their players, you have to be mindful of the rules when you go over there, though. And that hasn't been the case so far. You've had players traded, which doesn't happen in other leagues in the world. And the player go, I was what? What is that? Traded? I was transferred? No. You were traded. You're going to play for this team now. And the player has no say. Players are not used to that in the world. They have control of their destiny in Europe and South America or whatnot. And so there's that going for the NASL, but that's about all it has going for it right now. As it's growing, it's only in like its 5th or 6th year. It's crazy. So that's why MLS is trying to crush it, like just bury it right now. And I hope they fail. I hope that the teams in NASL are allowed to grow, to breathe, and to grow, and at one point be big enough where there has to be a consensus between the two leagues.
So that's all the time we have for today. If you want to join the discussion on NASL, MLS, where do you stand on each side? And what are your thoughts on U.S. soccer just being best buddies with MLS? That should never happen in any country. So leave your thoughts, your opinions down below in the comment section. Leave a like if you enjoyed the discussion, and leave your questions as well, because we will discuss them and talk about them next week on the show. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Follow us on Twitter at Total NASL TV as well. Peace out, everyone.
See ya.